Okay, sit down, dear viewer. I want to talk to you about henchmen. Henchmen are a typical way to fill out the ranks of a fictional army with identikit fodder for the good guys to wail on. Shredder had the foot soldiers, Darth Vader had stormtroopers, Satan had minion memes. You get the picture. Point is, henchmen typically pose very little threat to the hero or heroes of the story. They're mostly useless, perhaps used to slightly bulk out a fight against a main villain or simply used to provoke an air of menace. Henchmen are important, but ultimately, they're not going to be your main antagonist. This isn't the case with Rolling Thunder on the ZX Spectrum, a game that puts henchmen front and foremost and never once deviates from the mantra that is henchmen. Henchmen everywhere. Henchmen all the time. Got henchmen? Have henchmen. Hench all the men. Hench those boys right up. Henchmen are by far the stars of the show here. It doesn't even matter who the lead character is. Some sort of spy or something, trying to find another spy. He shoots a gun. He can go through doors. Yawn. Ignore him for now. He's rubbish. Let's get back to that title screen. What is going on here? What are these henchmen doing exactly? Are they raving? Are they cheering? Are they punching the air? Every now and then they stop and look around self-consciously before repeating the same thing. Meanwhile, this guy, who I presume is their commander-in-chief, just walks backwards and forwards without a care in the world. I'm not making too much of a deal out of this, am I? Everyone is acting weird, right? Well, this is just a taste of things to come, really, because understanding how the henchmen operate is going to be your key to victory in Rolling Thunder. Luckily, I found this training video in my volcanic lair and it explains exactly what these henchmen have been taught to do.
Congratulations, henchmen! If you're watching this video, you have passed your basic henchman training, and you're now well on your way to a life full of servitude toward your benevolent evil overlord. Your orders are as follows. Step 1. Remember to always run at your enemy. You may have a gun, but try not to use it too often. Bullets are expensive. Running at your foe is the key to success. Step 2. Is your enemy on a ledge you can't reach? Fear not. Jumping up and down can spook your foe into fleeing. Be wary that they may shoot you in midair, but we've calculated the chances of this happening at less than 1 in 3. Step 3. Has your enemy jumped from a high ledge while you are trying to ambush him? Don't let that get you down. Simply perform a physics-defying negative force leap in the same direction as the hero. Then beat that smarmy snake into bone meal. Step 4. Hide in tires. Step 5. If you're unsure where your enemy could be hiding, simply drop an endless stream of bombs until he appears. If he gets too close, don't forget to follow point 1. Run him down. This concludes the advanced training segment of today's course. We hope you go on to succeed in everything you do.
Okay, look, in all seriousness, what the hell is going on with these absolute lunatics? After playing this game for a while, I was initially going to compare it to Green Beret with guns, but these henchmen are something else. I have no idea what it is they're doing, but it's certainly none of the things I would expect them to be doing. And you really do have to keep their weird behaviour in mind when playing Rolling Thunder. This is an arcade game port, and as such, it's going to punch downwards on a consistent basis if you don't react to everything at breakneck speed. Your hero, codenamed Albatross, presumably because he's bad luck, is part of the undercover arm of the World Crime Police. There is absolutely nothing undercover about what he's doing throughout any of this game, but that's what the instructions say, so we'll go with that. Albatross has a health bar, but it honestly may as well not be there. If you're not dead in 2 hits, you're dead in 1 hit. Bullets tend to kill you outright, and henchmen will do one of 2 things. Either knock half your health off, or get you into a position where they manage to hit you twice so fast that they may as well have just shot you anyway. Albatross is an absolute waste of space, but unfortunately he's all you've got to work with. There's a couple of things you can do to help fight back against the waves of baddies that are endlessly trying to put you out of your misery. First, there's shooting. Shooting is always useful, as it allows the character to fire bullets out of a gun, and when the bullets hit the enemies, it kills them. This is a fairly novel idea, and not one I've seen many games pull off before. You can also get a machine gun that looks the same as the other gun, but it fires bullets faster. Outside of this, Albatross has been trained to jump. You can do a little jump, or you can jump all the way up into the air to get to a high ledge, but only if there's a banister there, because Albatross is all about safety first. He's also been trained to open doors. You need to go through doors in order to get bullets, and you can also use it to hide from enemies, but I'll be honest, I never really found any need to do that. Enemies will just hang around outside looking confused and then run for you again once you leave. It's essentially a very short game of peekaboo with an evildoer. Albatross needs to spend his time more wisely, to be honest. It might sound like I'm gearing up to hate this game, but I actually don't. I also don't love it either. There are a number of foibles here that causes my enjoyment levels to peak and trough on an almost consistent basis throughout. Let's go with the good for a while, because first and foremost, this is actually quite a decent port of the arcade original. That game was equally as tough to play, but it was snappy and interesting, and yes, in a way, it is a bit like Green Beret with a gun. But the level design in particular here is a bit more thoughtful than Green Beret's flatline levels. It tacks on a larger element of platforming than Green Beret, with the first level ending in a weird boot camp of sorts. You need to get yourself into the correct position on these tires if you want to shoot the henchmen before they shoot you. It's fun, even if it does feel slightly janky. The second level adds verticality to proceedings, where you'll be climbing a big stack of boxes to reach the top of the level. The third level adds in these big green pillars which can be used as cover. The henchmen spend most of their time ducking behind it and shooting at it, so probably not working as intended, but still. And then we get to level 4, and I'm going to pause there because I still have nice things to say and I don't want to spoil the mood. So, nice things. The shooting is nice. That's a nice thing. I like the way it feels. There's an immediacy to the way enemies are clocked with a bullet, and outside some performance issues when henchmen are filling up the screen, it all works rather smoothly. It's not as smooth as the arcade game, for obvious reasons, but they really did quite a fantastic job at reducing this game down to the ZX Spectrum's humble capacity. It also looks pretty nice too, all things considered. Yes, it's yellow, but the animations on offer are characterful and interesting. The henchmen, in particular, are just hilarious to watch, mostly because they're doing something stupid, but that's just heightened by the fact that they look like henchmen. They're not just some random ornament or bug or whatever. They're real people with bags on their heads, and they're mental. I really do love the way you can predict what these madcap menaces will do next. I've already said it before, but it's a complete and utter godsend that these guys are as dumb as a box, because it goes some way into alleviating the punishing difficulty. Luring them to jump in the air like dogs begging for treats, or getting them to jump off a balcony to clear your way forward, is a joy to behold. It's a genuine grin inducer to Darren Brown these idiots into doing what you need them to do in order to make your life easier. But here I go. Here's the sliding off point. Here's where I gripe. I'll start slow. The sound. It's practically non-existent. I presume that there simply wasn't enough space left in the memory to pop a tune or something in there, but it's fairly noticeable. The difficulty can also sometimes feel unfair. Your reaction times do have to be swift. And it's not really that bothers me, it's the awkward jumping mechanics that cause a ton of deaths. You jump in a fixed arc, whether you like it or not, and working out where you're going to land can be tricky to fathom. 90% of the time, it's going to be on top of an enemy who'll punch you square in the nuts. Speaking of which, what is he doing? Anyway, onto the final swing, level 4. Level 4 is where my hopes for Rolling Thunder began to drift away into the ether. I'd managed to make it this far without save states, but as soon as I saw this screen, I knew what I had to do. That's a lava pit. Those are small platforms. Those are small platforms over a lava pit. And this would be bad enough. I've already discussed Albatross's awkward jumping. But then there's these things. What the hell are they? Why, when I shoot them, do they still hurt me? Why do they hit me when I'm not even close to them? Why do they fly in such an annoying pattern? Why are you giving me a new frustrating enemy for the first time in 4 levels, and why are you placing them in the most annoying area? I swear this section beat it out of me. Over and over and over, I was either hit by these flaming wankers, mistime a jump, or just straight up walked off the edge. The biggest problem is that they move in at you diagonally, so if you're on one of the lower platforms, you really don't get any space to react. And if you shoot them while they're too close to you, they'll fly up and towards you, meaning they'll likely hit you anyway. And it's a one-hit death with these guys. You have no room to maneuver, no time to prepare. I don't even understand how I even made it through half of this. Sometimes I had to make a mad dash for it, stand at the edge of certain platforms and avoid them at all costs. Other times the only solution was to shoot them because there was no other way around. I'm sure there are much better ways of getting through this, but this is all I could work out, and I could only work this out using judicious use of save states. It's not easy to get to level 4, and so your practice time against this barrage of fiery bollocks is going to be next to nil. You'd need to work your way back here over and over and over again in order to try and work your way through it. If you can do that, big clap, you're a much better person than I've ever been. Honestly, if they scrubbed this level out of the game, I'd have had a much better time of things. The game is difficult enough without adding in a section that makes me want to lie on the floor and hold my breath for an hour. Once Lava Land is completed, you'll get another level that's fairly similar to level 1, and then the level after this is literally level 1. The game loops back around, only this time with more things that want to kill you. You've now got big jets of hot liquid cheese being fired down from the ceiling. You know, just in case dealing with everything else wasn't enough. It was at this point that my longest playthrough of Rolling Thunder came to an end, largely because I didn't want to rely on save states anymore, and even largelier because I didn't want to have to deal with yet another run through that lava pain zone. I was done. Having watched the ending to the game, I'm not really missing much. The final boss just stands there and you shoot him and then the game goes back to level 1 again. Now, it's conclusion time, and it probably sounds like I really hated Rolling Thunder, but I didn't. Like a stern mother, I was just disappointed in it. It gets so much of the feel of an arcade game correct, from the big character sprites to the immediacy of the gunplay. It does an absolutely admirable job of bringing the arcade version home to the humble Spectrum, but it doesn't actually feel fair to play. There are multiple sections where death is almost an inevitability. Be it an enemy that pops out of somewhere you have no ability to avoid, bullets fired at knee height that mix in with the mess of colour clash, controls that sometimes don't respond due to the dipping frame rate, a jump that doesn't always get you where you want, that entire goddamn lava zone that can go and boil itself. I will, however, still recommend it. I could recommend it for the stupid henchmen alone, to be honest, but the game does have more than that. It's a game that, after hours of play, you'll start to get a feel for in much the same way as Green Beret. It doesn't feel as tight, it doesn't feel as fluid, and it doesn't feel as fair, but it does have that same feel to it. It's a recommendation with concessions, basically, and those concessions are largely going to be dependent on the person playing it. Do you love henchmen doing their absolute worst? You'll love Rolling Thunder. Do you like being burnt to death in lava? You'll love Rolling Thunder. Do you like games that make you feel consistently in control from start to finish? You might like Rolling Thunder. Give it a try.